Welcome back, everybody, to the Checkmate playlist where we analyze absolutely radioactive games played on chess.com, Lee Chess, other chess sites, and we don't laugh at the expense of the player's intelligence and capabilities in this game, but we laugh at the pain that this game gives us. And it's a lot of pain. Like, I sometimes stay up all the way till 6 a.m. and playing bullet and blitz games to cure my depression. Or I have some people at the 1600 Elo zone where they try to get the Scholars Mate. But this is different. Today we see two 1400 Elo players survive in the wild and playing a rapid game 10-0 on chess.com. There are two 1400s and it had a massive plot twist at the end. Like always, I hope you enjoy these videos and yeah, let's get on to this absolute catastrophe. Alright, welcome back to the Checkmate playlist, everybody. And as you can clearly tell, you can't see the moves now, because I've covered the thing up. I've put a little thing on the editing, and now you can't see anything. Or have I? I don't know, I probably did. Anyway, let's begin. E4, C6, the mouse slip Sicilian defense. F4, though, I've never seen in my life. And F4 is shockingly a very bad move. According to the engine, just drops like 0.60. It drops 0.60% of the advantage. It's now equal completely. And that's mainly to the move e5, which is a quote-unquote gambit, but you would, lose a rook. So the best move after that is d4, which after takes d5 and knight here. Apparently, the position is equal, shockingly. F4, d5. And now we push the pawn, bishop to f5, this is all normal, and d4 just climbs and takes over the central space. Again, these are two 1400s, so they're not going to immediately chuck their pieces up their nostrils and, eat them. No, they will play solid, and then they will start choking along the way. Now I have the move e6, bishop to e2, knight d7, knight to f3, and h6, which tries to bring back the bishop, castles, and knight to b6. b3, though, is a very positional and maybe a little bit of a deep idea. Now, b3 is, if a 500 played the move b3, I would be screaming because you're not going to think catching your bishop there, that's stupid. But b3 is actually, preventing this knight from coming to these two squares and be a little bit of a attack. But even then, if, let's say the knight did come to these squares, knight to d2 is also an alternative. But let's say you developed and then the knight came like this, you would just go back. And then, apparently after this move, you just still b3 is the best move. But another move you can also consider is this move here. But then you have to remember that you should not get forked. So yeah, b3 is the chosen move. A little bit of a shocking move, I gotta say, but gets the job done. Now I have bishop to b4. And obviously that fork of the queen and the king and the queen and the rook was a joke. Don't take it seriously. Anyway, back to the chess. Now bishop to b4 is, attacking. Bishop d2, I'm sorry. Threatening a trade. We go for a trade. Knight to e7. And now the engine begs white to play the move c4. c4 is designed to reinforce on the spatial advantage that white has been given. And then after takes, then look how quickly white's position is just strong. Like, there's a lot. White has a lot of space, but black is just, lacking in the space department. So yeah, c4 will be just, very good here. But unfortunately, white plays knight to a3. I would understand knight to c3, bringing the knight to the center, but knight to a3. I have no idea. It's probably preparing the move c4, right? It's preparing the move c4, right? Knight to g6, now c4. This is the final chance to play c4. What? I'm sorry. Knight to a3. Rook c1. All of that was to prepare the move c4. So this would just, steamroll your opponent, take a lot of space. You prepared the move. You played two preparation moves to go c4. And you go c3. And now a5 is you stop b4, which is the main concept, and you take away space. Knight to c2, now the knight goes back. a4, and now the top end move is basically unfindable. It is g3. And then it's bishop to e4. That's beyond the pay grade of these two. The point is that the bishop is just nicely positioned here, and then you would take this, open up the a file, and slowly reroute your pieces. And if white does trade, then apparently black is slightly better positionally because of the structure. And if you try to after rook a2, try to win this pawn, there is f5, and en passant is apparently met with knight takes the pawn. And this double pawn structure is actually serving as a dagger to white's position, because it somehow takes away this, and you can't move any of these two pawns, and now white will struggle a little bit with the space. But that doesn't, of course, happen because that move is unfindable. So knight f2 e1. A more human approach, trying to go bishop d3 and trade the bishops. A takes, rook a2, the rook infiltrates. Oh boy, this is gonna be scary. Bishop to d3, now we're going for the trade, and shockingly, the best move is rook to a1. Trading this, and, you know, if you get attacked, you just move. So yeah, it's hard to see that from a distance, but bishop d3, it makes total sense. And now black makes a mistake. You cannot allow them to double your pawn structure, to just split the pawns like this, not double. It's kind of a split and a doubling at the same time. And now you immediately try to win this, and now you need to start going backwards. And now white rotates the queen around like this. Nice little rotation skills. I don't know what it does though, so does the engine. It doesn't understand the queen h3 at all. Now go rook to a8, which dominates the a file, and white needs to be careful. Knight here trying to win the pawn. Now the knight goes back. The knight also tries to get to the king side, and now the king moves for some reason. If you would move the king, I'd move it away from the king side, because it's going to be slaughter, and even then it's not very clear what's going to happen. But moving it closer to the attack, that's crazy. And now we have knight here, trying to win this pawn, g6, and rook to c2. Now, folks, what do you do here? Do you take the rook, or do you not take it? You do not take it, but we go here. The better move would have been to just reroute the knight, because now the knight is actually just free to move. And then eventually you would find like the correct reroute spot with the knight, and you would get it into the game. But with rook to a1, the rooks double up on the f file, which doesn't make too much sense, considering the file is probably never going to open up unless black does something very stupid. Oh boy, and here we are. Plus 1.6. Rook 8 to a2. Why is this move so bad? On the surface, it looks like you're just moving a rook. Rook takes a2, rook takes a2. The incredible g4 is possible. And this is where black screwed up. If you take this pawn, I take with the knight, and I threaten all sorts of discovered attacks with knight h4. For example, let's say you just attack this pawn. There is just a real fork, but let's say you defend this. There is eventually like f5 sacrificing the pawn, because again, there is this, and the king is just dead. You need to sack your queen. So yeah, you need to be careful of, you know, those types of things. But g3 is instead chosen. Okay. Got a little too excited. Fortunately, g3 is chosen. No attacks, and it goes from plus 1.4 to 0.06. Rook b2. And now the engine, again, it's like g4, just go for it. g4 now. Which, let me ask you a question. You went g3 and g4. Why did you not go g4 here? Why, I don't understand. I probably they didn't know that pawns go 2 squares forward when they reach the endgame. g4, rook takes b3, pawn takes f5, pawn takes f5, knight takes h5. The better move here would have been king to h1, which is unfindable. The point of king h1 is that you just move your king away from the attacks, and you release the G file for an attack, that's just unfindable. That's if you're like 900 to play like King H1 in like the span of 3 seconds, report them for cheating, and if they beat you in the next 12 seconds, that's also another excuse. But on a serious note, King H1 is generally an improving move, especially when you're attacking on the same side. And now we just they choose this move, which is far more natural. But now it loses, I mean, not loses, but it drops advantage after queen to queen to e6, which defends everything. This move defends everything for some shocking turn of events. And again, king h1 is tied for top engine or top engine straight up. But we have the move knight takes f5. And this loses to knight takes f5. And queen e6 now is forced, but the difference is, well, it's the same thing, right? No. Queen to d3 and you're dead. You gotta sack your rook. And if you move your king away, you know, try to get away, check, and you can try to run away, but unfortunately, I'm just always a step ahead of you. And I'll get in slowly. I just trap your queen eventually. And like you try to save your queen, there's like mate threats somewhere. It's really bad, it's really awful, and it's probably gonna lose. But rook f3. Makes sense. You try to bring a rook to the party. And now we have check. King goes here. And knight drops in. And now it's +1. Actually, black might have a little bit of a chance to bounce back. Mate threat. And gentlemen, we're approaching the plot twist. After rook b2 check, king moves up. The reason why king h3 is the top engine move is because there's no more checks. No more checks. You're probably gonna win a barbaric endgame where you're just, you know, you got 5 pawns versus 5 pawns, but your 5 pawns are probably just slightly better structure-wise, and also, you know, your rook is a little bit more active. King g3 though is the same concept. But there's a massive difference. Because after the queen goes here, and you play h4, you lose your queen, and you get mated. This would have been all avoided if white played the move king h3, and after this, you would support the queen. If you trade the queens, even better. You would just check, and this is a mate threat. Like you just like it's just probably just a mate threat, like straight up in a couple of moves. But you would win all the pawns, bring your king up. It's unfortunately though, white chose king g3 and got mated. I have nothing else to say. That was insane. To be fair though, they did not play this badly. They actually played some pretty good moves, but some moves, most of them were like inaccuracies. They were not too crazy. But yeah, I will leave the PGN so you can take a look at it, and I will go play some Minecraft. See you guys next time. Get out of here.